Everyone, this is the presentation we give to collecting organizations who are on board for our Helping Hampers campaign. Before I start, just a reminder to program managers, send the link of the Prezi to yourself via email so that you have it readily available, or better yet, download the Prezi onto a USB so that you don't have to rely on the Wi-Fi connection at your school, which can interrupt the flow of your presentation. So we'll just put it into full screen. Press allow, and press the back arrow just to make sure it's at the beginning. And we'll start. Hi everyone, my name is Daniela Batris and I am your project manager this year for Helping Hampers. So what my role is to help make this project as smooth and successful as possible. But before we get into what Helping Hampers is, I want to explain what Geomir is. So we are a registered charitable organization, and we were founded in 2010 with the objective to help eliminate poverty by mentoring young people and empowering them to connect with their community. Now, the reason we're so focused on young people is because now more than ever, young people are volunteering for nonprofits and they're raising money on behalf of nonprofits. And what Geomir does is we recognize that young leaders or the young generation are the leaders of today. So we actually engage young people by providing community initiatives that connect youth with people in need directly within their communities. So the first project I'm going to talk about today is Helping Hampers, but I also want to tell you about another project we have. Suit Up is our version of a back-to-school clothing drive. Back to school is tremendously stressful for a lot of low-income families. And so what Geomir does is we want to help alleviate this expense by giving local families in need the chance to pick out back-to-school clothing at a local Old Navy during a VIP shopping experience. And the cool thing about this is it's also used to promote financial literacy because the $100 gift cards we give to the children in each family are given directly to those children, and they are in charge of buying what they need based on their budget, of course with adult supervision. The other project we have is Geomir Sprint and Splash, and this is actually a fundraiser in June that's very logistics intensive, so if that's something that you enjoy doing or you want more experience in that realm, definitely reach out to us this coming March to get involved with that. As I already said, the project we're going to focus on today is Helping Hampers. Now, what is Helping Hampers? Helping Hampers basically involves the creation of large-scale hampers that provide families in need with necessities that last several months. Now, the number one question we always get is, well, how is this different from other hamper projects? And to be honest, this is a very valid question. Usually how I answer is I bring up this statistic. So according to 2014 in the Hunger Count report, almost 50,000 people were helped by a food bank in March of 2014. Now that's a huge amount of people, and that puts a tremendous amount of strain on organizations such as the food bank, who specialize in shorter term assistance and can only give people enough food to last a few days or a few weeks because they're helping so many people. Now, Geomir's Helping Hampers program exists to complement organizations such as these in that we specialize in helping a fewer number of families with a more substantial amount of goods. So we aim to provide a longer term assistance, 3 to 4 months, which in some cases has the potential of improving a family situation to the point of no longer having to rely on organizations such as the food bank. Now, another way our project differs is how we specifically work in engaging youth to recognize how poverty exists within their communities. So a lot of the years students ask, well, how does poverty even exist in Edmonton, and how does it exist in my community? And to give students a better idea of how people become victims of circumstance and fall into a cycle of poverty, we made them this video, which I'll play for you right now.
Don't you like when you're free? I learn not to hear keys. Only hold till your coffee warms. But don't hurry your speed. Once a time, put a time in your ear on the beach. And your crush clean heat.
So we actually put this video together because it uses real stories of families we've helped in the past, which I think really puts into perspective how anyone can become a victim of situational poverty. So now I'm going to go over a brief overview of how the project runs in a certain area of the city so that you understand how it works. So the first stage of our project is the planning stage, and this involves building a Helping Hampers network. So this is actually a stage where junior project managers are primarily involved. The first step is recruiting collecting organizations such as your school, and this is a map of how the city is divided in terms of collecting organizations. So this year there's approximately 30 on board, and this includes high schools, junior highs, businesses, students groups, and churches. The next step is to create kind of partnerships between these high schools and feeder schools. And for the sake of this example, I'm going to use a school from the Millwoods East area of the city called J. Percy Page. So Page is an example of a high school that participates every year, and they always support approximately 5 families within their community. So the first thing we do is we go to Page and we ask them, where do you want these family demographics from? And they usually choose 5 families within Page's catchment area. That's when we get involved and we actually go out and find the demographics of the families in need from these schools, which is step number 3. Now, the yellow box is an example of an ideal demographic, something that we hope to obtain from each feeder school, but isn't the reality. Many of our families are going through hard times, they're very transient, which means they're often very hard to get a hold of, which is why our demographics end up looking a little bit more like this. Now, even though this seems really minimal, what we always try to do is get information that's going to help us make these hampers specific to these demographics. So for example, if we know that the family is Muslim, we're going to eliminate any pork products from the food item list because that's not going to be useful to them. One year, the mother of a family really wanted to let us know that her sons were autistic. And this was really important in terms of accommodating for the type of gifts that the school wanted to collect for them, because a lot of autistic children tend to learn more visually or through touch. If we know that a family is expecting a baby on the way, we're going to want to include some baby supplies on that list. And additionally, some family demographics are actually more than one family under the one roof. And in situations like this, we're probably going to add some items to supplement them a little bit more. So after we find these demographics, we move on to step 4. And we generate lists of hamper items specific to these demographics for each family, which is what we forward to you. These lists are composed of food, cleaning supplies, toiletries, gifts, and the goal is to make these lists to create hampers that are going to provide 3 to 4 months worth of assistance for these families. Now, the next step of the project is where your school, business, church group, or whatever becomes primarily involved. So this is the part of the project where you implement an incredibly rigorous publicity campaign, which can involve things like creative announcements, letters to read in each classroom, emails, videos like the one I showed you, engaging staff, and also word of mouth, which is probably the most important one. Letting people know about your demographic is a really important way of instilling a sense of responsibility, which is why you see on the last poster on this slide that this school actually posted the demographic around the school to show students that this is a real family that's depending on them. The next step is obviously the collection step. And so this is going to involve distributing your boxes to all of your collecting classrooms and assigning items on the lists. Obviously, during these 2 weeks, you'll still be implementing your publicity campaign. And by the end, though, all of your boxes will be collected and sorted. The next stage is the final hamper preparation, and this is kind of after everything is collected and sorted. Many schools or businesses or church groups have a huge work day where the hampers can be decorated. And what I mean by this is usually if you're doing more than one family, they color code them so that you know what belongs to who during the organization phase and the delivery phase. This is also a phase where gifts are labeled in tags, and any gift certificates that were donated are inserted into the written tags. And the gift and the card portion is really important because it adds a personal touch to that hamper. Many of these families have no idea that the hamper is this big, or that a whole community of students or businesses or whatnot have been thinking of them. So when they receive a personalized card and gifts, they become very touched. And last but not least, the final stage is hamper delivery. So this involves us as your project managers developing a schedule, delivering to your partner schools. It can also involve a team of your students and staff to be involved, and usually is just one day and is lots of fun. So as I said at the beginning, my role is to help make this project as simple as possible for you. And because of that, we will be contacting all of your partnered schools, creating your donation lists, finding your demographics, giving you collection boxes, coordinating your hamper delivery, and collecting feedback from your families in the new year so you can show your student body how you made a difference. And so with that, that brings us to the end of our presentation. Obviously, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions, but last but not least, we want to thank you for being on board, and also we look forward to working with you. Thank you.